Welcome and hi everyone. My name is DAYANG BINTI and I'm from AC2203B. For this video presentation, our group will be discussing transfer pricing and advanced pricing arrangement, also known as APA. First and foremost, transfer pricing refers to the pricing of goods, services, or intangible transfer between associated companies within the same group, especially multinational enterprise. This topic is highly important because transfer pricing directly affects how profits are allocated between countries. Since Malaysia has a relatively higher corporate tax rate, the Inland Revenue Board of Malaysia closely monitors transfer pricing practices to ensure that profits are not shifted unfairly to low-tax jurisdictions. In Malaysia, the Inland Revenue Board of Malaysia, or IRBM, closely monitors transfer pricing practices to ensure that companies operating here pay their fair share of tax. To regulate this, IRBM introduced transfer pricing guidelines which emphasize the use of the arm's length principle, proper documentation, and acceptable pricing method. This chapter helps us understand how transfer pricing works, why is it important, and how APA can be used to prevent future tax disputes. Overall, transfer pricing is not just a pricing issue, but a matter of fairness and compliance in international taxation.
Transfer pricing refers to the price charged for goods, services, or intangible properties transferred between related companies. Tax authorities require that this transaction follow the arm's length principle. The IRBM accepts transfer pricing methods that are comply with the arm's length principle as detailed in the Malaysian Transfer Pricing Guideline 2024 and the Income Tax Transfer Pricing Rules 2023. Taxpayer must select the most appropriate method for the specific circumstance with preference given to the traditional transaction method. The selected method must be applied in a manner that produces the most reliable measures of arm's length. Transfer pricing documentation is crucial primarily for demonstrating compliance with tax law and the international accepted arm's length principle, thereby helping multinational audit and dispute with tax authorities worldwide. Transfer pricing documentation is required by law in many countries, including Malaysia. Under Section 140A of the Income Tax Act 1967, companies must prepare and keep proper records to show that transactions with related companies are carried out at fair market-based price. This helps ensure business follow the arm's length principle and stay compliant with tax regulation. If a company cannot provide proper documentation when requested by tax authorities, it may face heavy penalties, tax adjustment, or legal action. Having well-prepared documentation not only lowers the chance of being audited, but also help protect the company if an audit happens. Penalties for transfer pricing non-compliance in Malaysia include a surcharge of up to 500% on any transfer pricing adjustment and a fine of 2,000 ringgit to 100,000 ringgit per year of assessment for documentation failures. Then penalties for incorrect returns and record keeping.
Advanced Pricing Arrangement or APAs were introduced in Malaysia in 2009. They let companies agree in advance with tax authorities on the transfer pricing method for cross-border transactions. This ensures prices follow the arm's length principle and prevent dispute over profit allocation. In short, APA is a proactive tool that provides clarity before transactions happen. APAs matters because they give certainty in tax treatment, have avoided double taxation, reduce audits and litigation, improve financial planning, and ease recouping. Overall, APA is not just compliance, it's a strategic advantage for multinational businesses.
In 2025, the IRBM issued a new Transfer Pricing Tax Audit Framework 2025. It shows that tax authorities are actively enforcing transfer pricing compliance. Companies with related party transactions are being audited and scrutinized under the updated rules. For the examination process, coverage period of audit IRBM generally reviews 6 years of assessment and it may be extended to 7 years depending on findings, and there are no limit applied if they are frauds, willful default, or negligence. IRBM uses a broader risk-based selection approach when choosing taxpayers. This includes risk assessment of related party transaction, business reconstructing activities within a group, and information from third parties or foreign tax authorities. The audit timeline is expected to be concluded with 450 calendar days from the date started. The audit commence date is generally when IRBM issues a formal notice, a physical field audit begins, or a date mutually agreed between IRBM and the taxpayers. Next is the transfer price penalty structure. Specific different penalties and surcharge depends on the basis period. For assessment period starting before 1st January 2021, penalties under Section 113 Clause 2 of the Income Tax Act if transfer price adjustment result in additional tax. First offense is 15% penalty, second offense is 30% penalty, and third and subsequent offense is 45% penalty. Now, for assessment period from 1st January 2021 and onwards. Adjustments are subject to a surcharge under Section 140A Clause 3C of Income Tax Act up to 5% of the amount of transfer price adjustment, even if no additional tax is issued. Next is transfer pricing documentation and penalties. Taxpayers must prepare transfer pricing documentation that meets requirements under Transfer Pricing Rule 2023 and Malaysian Transfer Pricing Guidelines 2024. Next is penalty for late or non-compliance. If documentation is not submitted within 7 days, there will be a penalty of 20,000 ringgit. Between 7 to 14 days is 40,000 ringgit. Between 14 to 21 days is 60,000 ringgit. And between 21 to 28 days is 80,000 ringgit. If it's more than 28 days, there will be a penalty of 100,000 ringgit. And if they gave no notice, there will be an imprisonment up to 6 months. Next is voluntary disclosure option. Taxpayer can voluntarily disclose transfer price issues before an audit starts, and IRBM may impose a lower transfer price surcharge between 0% to 4% on the adjustment if criteria are met. This is to encourage early correction before a formal audit begins. The following table shows the APA statistical report from 2017 to 2024. Malaysia has recorded the submission of APA application by taxpayers, with several APAs were subsequently approved. This indicates that taxpayers have successfully reached agreement with the tax authority on appropriate transfer pricing methodologies. Although taxpayers' identities are not publicly disclosed due to confidentiality requirement, these figures represent actual APA case filed and processed by IRBM. The IRBM generally does not disclose company names in these reports because taxpayers are entitled to confidentiality during APA negotiations. APA agreements involve commercially sensitive and tax critical information, and public disclosure may or may not reveal strategic pricing policies or profit margin. Now, how does Malaysia's APA program work? Well, first, APA applications are accepted by IRBM. Taxpayers may apply for unilateral or bilateral that are subject to the existence of double taxation agreement or DTA with the relevant foreign counterparty. Second, IRBM accepts and processes APA application. IRBM provides a prescribed application form that enables taxpayers to submit formal and valid APA application for review and negotiations. Third is the enforcement of APA rules and guidelines. Malaysia's Income Tax Rules 2023 and APA Guidelines 2024 has set out the legal and administrative framework that governs the evaluation, negotiation, and implementation of APAs. This remains fully applicable for the year 2025. Lastly is real strategic practice. Companies with significant cross-border related party transactions such as manufacturers are commonly seek APA to mitigate transfer pricing audit risk. Manufacturing companies are commonly observed as APA applicant in Malaysia based on IRBM APA Guidelines 2024, APA statistical data published by IRBM, and professional tax commentaries, which is Baker McKenzie and Ernst & Young. Bilateral APA are pursued where Malaysia has a double taxation agreement with the counterparty jurisdictions such as Japan, Singapore, and the United Kingdom. The objective is to eliminate double taxation and reducing transfer price adjustments.
In conclusion, transfer pricing is important to ensure fairness in transaction between related companies, especially multinational enterprises. This chapter highlights the importance of the arm's length principle, where the prices must reflect what independent parties would agree on under similar circumstances. We also learn about the various transfer pricing methods accepted by IRBM and the importance of proper documentation in reducing tax risks. Lastly, Advanced Pricing Arrangement or APA provides certainty for future transactions by preventing double taxation and reducing dispute with tax authorities. Overall, transfer pricing and APA helps promote transparency, compliance, and stability in the international tax system. Moving on to my own personal reflection, this chapter helped me realize that transfer pricing is much more complex than I initially expected. It is not only about setting prices, but also involves legal compliance, ethical responsibility, and international cooperation. Learning about the arm's length principle and APA made me more aware of how government protect their tax revenue while still allowing multinational companies to operate globally. This topic also showed me how improper transfer pricing can negatively affect a country's economy. Next, in terms of self-improvement, I plan to further strengthen my understanding of transfer pricing by reviewing more real-world examples and case studies. I also aim to improve my presentation skill, especially in explaining technical tax concepts in a clearer and more confident way. This chapter motivates me to enhance my analytical and research skills, which are very important for my future career in taxation or accounting, where accuracy, compliance, and professionalism are very important.
Understanding transfer pricing and advanced pricing agreements, APA is very important for my future as an accountant, especially if I want to work with multinational companies or run my own accounting firm. Transfer pricing determines how related companies in different countries set price for goods, services, or intangible properties, which affect tax liability and compliance with the law. APA are agreement with tax authorities that help companies decide on transfer pricing methods in advance, reducing the risk of dispute or penalties. This knowledge gives me a competitive advantage in the accounting profession, where expertise in international taxation is highly valued. Learning about transfer pricing and APA showed me that being an accountant is more than just working in numbers, but it's about making fair decisions, acting responsibility, and helping business plan ahead by follow the law and reduce risk for the future. At first, I struggled to understand transfer pricing because it involves complex terminology, tricky calculation, and legal concepts. The connection between accounting standards, tax rules, and international business was confusing me. APA procedure also seemed complicated due to the amount of documentation and negotiation involved with tax authorities. APA procedures also seem complicated due to the amount of documentation and negotiation involved with tax authorities. Unfortunately, it helps me to improve my critical skills such as analytical thinking, problem solving, attention to detail, and effective communication. For instance, calculating arm's length prices or preparing an APA requires careful evaluation of financial data, market trends, and tax regulation. However, I realized the challenge in learning about professional growth and that complex topic often led to valuable career advantage.
From learning about advanced pricing arrangement, I realized the importance of clarity and proactive planning. It shows me that preparing in advance avoids disputes and builds confidence skills I can apply in my studies and teamwork. I also see the value of structured thinking, reducing risk, and improving forecasting. This lesson reminds me to strengthen my ability to plan ahead, communicate clearly, and manage tasks strategically.
This learning experience has shown me the importance of developing both technical competence and professional judgment. Understanding APA rules, FAR analysis, and treaty-based mechanisms such as bilateral APAs require continuous learning, especially as tax regulation evolve. It also emphasized the need to improve my skill in research and interpretation of tax legislation and guidelines, critical evaluation of professional commentaries, and clear and precise academic and professional writing.